Hey, this is WXOU 88.3 FM, and today we are here with Oakland University's own hit, viral sensation recently, Marcus Johnson. Hi, Marcus. How you doing today?
I'm doing just fine. I won't complain. Wouldn't do much good if I did. How y'all doing this lovely morning?
You know, it's been a little crazy.
It's been a morning.
It's been a morning.
It's been a morning.
You know, yeah.
I'll give you that.
I mean, you've been kind of the center of attention on campus lately.
Evidently.
And talking to MSNBC Local 4, I believe, as well. Probably
I don't think I had a chance to talk to Local 4.
You've talked to a lot of people.
I don't talk to so many people. It's unreal.
So how's this whole experience been for you?
It's been interesting. I personally, my mom always taught me keep yourself humble, so that's been the big thing I've been focusing on. I keep reminding myself that, yay, everyone in the world loves to hear what I gotta say. That don't stop the fact I got responsibilities. I got stuff to do. After that MSNBC interview, I had to go do my homework. And that don't go away. And I love Professor Hartman, I do. She not gonna cut me no slack, so I might as well not try to cut it for myself. So just remembering I do have things to do. And although the media loves me right now, I still got stuff to do. Just remembering that's been the big point for me. It also helps keep you grounded a little bit. Everybody want to say something to you, but if you get to tell yourself, I'll do that later, I got stuff to do, it kind of helps to not get yourself overwhelmed, because it's easy getting overwhelmed with everything everybody want to say. So helping to find time for you to just do what you know you need to, solid. At least for me. I'll speak for myself. I can't speak for everybody else.
Yeah, I feel like that's really, really important to think about, because it's really easy to kind of get sucked into that. Like constantly, just look up your name, Marcus Johnson, and then just search, just over and over again, refresh. And I think that, so just kind of keeping yourself in the moment is really important.
My best friend did that approximately 10 times yesterday.
Yeah.
Just Googling me to see what all could pop up, sending me every tweet that had my name in it. I had to block my notifications off the maps. I'm in class, my phone bzz, bzz, every 2 seconds. I'm trying to listen to this lecture. I'm already tired. Don't do this to me today.
I'm gonna admit I did it out of curiosity, because I woke up and I saw all of these posts, and I was like, huh. Interesting. I wonder if this isn't just a Rochester Hills thing, or if this is a national thing. It was a national thing. And it was crazy.
For me, it was the night we had the watch party. People were like, "Hey, Marcus, they're talking about you on Reddit." I was like, "Oh, cool, good for them. That sounds wonderful."
Reddit people don't sleep.
I hope they enjoyed my verbiage, or however you want to say it. I go to our office, the student congress office. I got to charge my phone, because it was almost dead at that point. I leave here about 12:30-ish. I get to my dorm room at 1. I go to sleep. I'm tired. It's been a day. I got stuff to do in the morning. I wake up 7 in the morning. I got at least a bazillion messages on the dang on apps. My friend kept trying to call me, waking me up. The honors college dean emailed me at 6:30 in the morning.
Dr. Graham Harper? He's a fan of emails, let me tell you. I love
Dr. Harper. He's a great guy. He emails
him.
me at 6:30 in the morning. I was knocked out sleep, so I didn't see it till 8. But I'm like, oh, so this is going to be a thing. I'll even show you. I texted my mom. It was real funny. So I told her, I believe I'm popular now. And she's like, I think you are. I'm sure.
I think you're popular in a different sense, where it's not the, I don't even know the high school popular. It's
exactly.
Actually, I want to say
you're clicky popular.
No, it's I want to almost say kind of famous. That's what I'm gonna go. It's like a celebrity.
Yeah, see, I told her I'm apparently popular now. Yes, my mom in my phone is birther. Yes, she knows it. No, she doesn't like it.
That's fair.
I find it absolutely hilarious, so it stays.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. But I mean, also being, kind of a part of the political conversation now. There's definitely, especially with this debate or this election season in general, there's just a lot of kind of just a binary of left, right, and there's really no in between. And I think also on social media that is heavily reflective of that. So there's kind of also the downside as well of just people just shouting opinions at you as well.
Yeah, there's that part. See, I always try to tell people, because I never try to tell people one way or another how they're supposed to think. I like to think that one of the most American things this country have is the right that you get to think what you want to. You get to say what you want to in some cases. I'm going to specify that because Dr. Harkness will get at me if I don't specify. But the fact that you get to believe what you want to believe, you have that choice. You have the right to that choice. So I never try to tell anybody, how they're supposed to think.
Right.
My philosophy is just make sure you know what you're talking about when you develop those opinions. Now, I like to say I'm a rooted in fact kind of guy. I have opinions, but I base it off of a fact because those are very hard to disprove. So I tell my mom all the time, I would much rather you disagree with me because you know what you're talking about than agree with me because you don't. Because everybody should be able to justify why they think the way they think, even if they don't have to. That's how I see it, at least.
Yeah, that's fair. So other question for you. So how do you think of because MSNBC, from the get-go, said that, you kind of were, kind of owning Vance. You're kind of putting him in his place, and that's kind of how it's been painted. What do you think about that?
I mean, my intention wasn't to own the guy. My first thought was, why ain't nobody saying this before? You got all these very respectable media sources who could have said this beforehand. Ain't nobody said nothing. Yeah, and now I guess I will say watching the debate was the catalyst for me to lodge my complaint, as I call it, because when you sit there and you try to convince me that, the vice president's the one running the show and it's her administration and she's doing everything. Come on now. I may have been born at night, but it wasn't last night. I'm not stupid. I know how the government process works. I know that, yes, the vice president helps advise the president, but they don't make the decisions. They have no power. They're just there. She wakes up, makes sure the president's not dead, and then goes about life. That's at root, from what I've seen, that the vice presidency is about. So to try to paint it in some fresh light as if they're able to do a bazillion different things, it's a bit oxymoronic to me. Especially when you're trying to convince the American people to give you this position. And I could almost make the argument that he's trying to paint himself as the person who's going to be running the administration should Donald Trump win, which I don't think would go over well with his running mate. So that was all the stuff that's going through my head. And I'm sitting here why is nobody saying this? Why is nobody addressing the fact that as far as decision-making power goes, she has none. She's just there to make sure things move right. Yeah. I use the analogy of a manager in corporate. The manager's there just to make sure stuff runs smooth. But at the end of the day, they do what corporate tells them to do. She's not corporate in this scenario. So y'all can paint it how you want to. That's just what my point was.
For sure.
Definitely. And I mean, I also feel like that's also a state to be said of just kind of the moderation in these debates. They had said going into this vice presidential debate that they were not going to be fact-checking, and if so, they would be mild fact-checking, and they were going to rely on the candidates to fact-check each other, which I don't think was a great idea to begin with, because then you're just sort of at the mercy of trying to believe these politicians
act like a bumbling fool. Yeah.
And then we end up having to get our fact-checks from college students or people on Twitter, and
it's fact-checking, especially in debates, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't thing. Damned if you do, because everybody who likes one candidate that keeps getting fact-checked is going to say, these people are so terrible and they're biased. Why do they keep fact-checking? I was talking with somebody and I said, is it within the realm of possibility that when Donald Trump kept getting fact-checked, is it possible that he might have been wrong? Is that within the realm of possibility? Or did it have to be that the journalists were just that bad at their jobs? But is it within the realm of possibility that the guy just may have been wrong.
Yeah.
Like what was that crap he was? But the people eating the cats and dogs.
Oh my God.
When you have me compare him making that point, him and his VP candidate making that point, and I have the governor of the state saying that they're lying about it, the city supervisor mayor person saying they're lying about it, who you expect me to believe? The guy who doesn't live there, or the people who are dealing with the day-to-day of what happens there?
Oh, for sure.
So it's like sometimes I respect fact-checking because sometimes people are just so wrong you can't not say something. You know, I'm all about letting people be wrong and live in their wrongness and be wrong sometimes. But sometimes stuff's just out of pocket enough that it warrants saying something, at least.
Yeah. I know that those lies, like, especially, like, with the Springfield, was just so harmful to, like, did you hear the news about, like, them needing to be, like, children needing to be evacuated and, like...
Bomb threats, this, that, and the third. And I'm sitting here like, even if I don't give any opinions about any candidate, I don't know how y'all, you know, how people rationalize wanting to say he was right to vilify an entire group of people that he doesn't know in a state that I don't know how often he even visits, to try to paint them in this negative light, causing them and his interesting followers, I'll use interesting, so I'm going to be kind today, to knowing how crazy some of these people are. And now these people, they can't go to work, kids can't go to school, they send in bomb threats, shooter threats, running up the city's budget trying to investigate this stuff. Like, come on, people.
Yeah.
I get it, it's politics, nobody likes it, but it's not supposed to be this terrible. When did the political system start encouraging people that it's okay to be awful to another person simply because someone else told you to do so?
I mean, I would to make the bold assumption that I was told that was okay when your leader or the candidate does it themselves. But yeah, oh gosh, I was gonna say something, but now I don't remember. Oh no.
It happens to the best of us. I'm sure you'll remember it at some point.
I mean, I will probably. Oh, yes.
There
okay,
we go.
So we were talking about how the fact checking and all that stuff wasn't happening, and so ultimately, so you have been regarded as the person who won the debate.
Yeah.
So
that's been fun.
So, but I got wind of this morning. Do you know the number of the fact checks that were told on each side? Do you know the amount of lies that were told on one side? I got the number. Vance told, like, this is not even like an opinionated thing. This was like a direct thing. 15 lies, which would be about the debate span was 90 minutes. So that would approximately be, and I'm probably wrong, that would be one lie per 6 minutes. But here's the thing, is that he talked about half the time, so it's going to be something different than that. Yeah. But what do you think about that? Like, there's so much room for that kind of those lies, harmful lies in this climate, and so like not being able to have it fact checked on that stage kind of shows, like, in the real world when people will say those incredibly harmful lies, like,
I find on-site fact-checking, in my personal opinion, to be rather necessary. Because, and this is just based off of how I feel about it, it's rather humbling, in a sense, for a person who's like, oh, I'm going to say this going to be how it is, yada, yada, yada. It's rather humbling to have someone sit there and tell you, you're wrong. What you just said is wrong. And I've always operated on, sometimes people make mistakes. Sometimes you get a fact wrong. It's less about what you got wrong and more about how you approach being told that you were wrong. Because I'm the first person, if I'm wrong about something and I say, oh, my bad, I'll be the first person to acknowledge that. I made a mistake, I'll fix it now. Because I don't believe in giving out wrong information like that. But when you have candidates who, when approached about the fact that they're wrong about something, and then continue to insist that they're not, and continue to peddle the same nonsense over and over again, I think it's pretty telling. I like to judge people based on character, if I'm pulling the Martin Luther King doctrine here. So I think character speaking, it says a lot when you are told that you're wrong about something and they provide a fact to follow that up. and you can't acknowledge that maybe you have the capacity to be wrong. So I find it rather necessary to fact check them. Let them know.
For sure. Yeah. I'm touching on the debate because that seems like a really hot topic right now.
Oh yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Hot topic like the store. Anyway, so with those lies that, like, obviously Vance had, like, pampered, people say that the minute that he lost the debate was when he was given a question that he didn't have the answer to, so he flat out refused to answer. And I believe that was the one where it was about the 2020 election.
Yes, I saw that one too. I like to say I'm quick to notice a political non-answer. Politicians are experts at giving them. I love to give them. When I'm presented with a question I don't want to answer, I'll acknowledge that right now. But I think there are certain questions that a political non-answer is not the best case for you to go with. When you are asked, and you have a whole electorate that is fearful of the state of democracy in their country, and they ask you, will you acknowledge right now that that your running mate did not win the last election, and you can't answer that question? I don't think that was very much to their benefit, personally.
Yeah. For sure. So I know on your MSNBC interview, you were asked, you know, like, what do you wish that they talked about more? You wish that, like, they touched on more. I know that you talked about transgender rights. Do you want to kind of expand on that a little more for us?
Well, yeah, when I was talking about that, I was thinking about a friend of mine who was at the watch party that NBC had passed by and talked to her, and I think the reel had got put on Instagram, and it's Instagram, so all the idiots and fools on there been saying a bunch of nonsense, and that's what came into my mind at first. And I'm thinking about the candidates, and I think about what they talk about, and they have their issues that each of them will talk about the most. I know Vice President Harris loves to talk about, I shouldn't say loves, it's like it's a bad thing. I know she talks a lot about reproductive rights and housing and whatnot, and Donald Trump talks about how they're doing everything wrong, and less about necessarily what he wants to do. Yeah. But I'm thinking about, you know, if I'm going to be selfish for a moment, because I always say elections are the perfect time to be selfish. If I think about my life and the people I care about, what's going on with us that people probably may want to hear about? So if you're trans, you might want to hear a candidate talk about the fact that your rights deserve to be protected. If you're in the LGBTQ plus community, you might want to hear a candidate say, you deserve to exist, and you deserve to have the right to do so. If you're just a college student, you may want to hear, hey, you're not going to be in debt for the rest of your life. It's okay. You'll be able to afford going to school. We want you to do that. Your degree will not be useless. Things like that. And I think part of the reason I was saying that is because if I think about the young vote demographic, which each side is trying their best to pander to, if I'm being selfish and I try to say everybody thinks the same way I do, those are some things that I know young people care about that I think y'all might want to start talking about. You know, people may not like listening to me, but I'm just saying.
No, that's fair. Absolutely.
For sure.
I know that I was asked this by Channel 4, and I don't know if you were asked this. So at the beginning of the debate, the first question right off the bat was about in regards to Israel and Palestine. And I'm not going to ask your opinion on the matter, but what do you think about that being the absolute first question in the debate?
I think it's representative of the fact that people are finally starting to pay attention to what's going on in the world. Because I know there had been like a missile strike on Israel right before the debate had happened, so I can't say I'm surprised, but from my friends I've even spoken to, I know with all the different diverse communities in this country, and especially Michigan, which is a very big state that people want to win, it's a really big issue. When you have on college campuses students openly protesting, forming encampments around the situation, it's not one that I would recommend neglecting. I've suggested that both campaigns should probably do well to come out pretty firm on where their stances are now and try their best to be able to justify that, because that's probably what's going to be a really big voting factor.
Absolutely.
For a lot of people. Like even in Michigan, over 100,000 people voted uncommitted in our primary for the presidential race because they were not happy with how President Biden had handled everything that's going on there. Yeah. And that's something I will say I appreciate when it comes to political protest. I always tell people, you can scream and holler as much as you want to, but ain't nobody going to pay attention till you hit that ballot box. So I think utilizing the vote as a form of showing people like, hey, we are the people, we have power, I will always condone that no matter how it goes.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And I think that's really important to consider. Remember when, I think it was a few months ago, when Kamala was having her rally here in Detroit, yep. And it was interrupted by...
I was at that rally,
You were? Okay.
I was there.
So, and I feel like that's a really hot topic here as well, just to consider that that's an issue that, while all issues are extremely important to young voters, that is like one of the top 2 ones. That's a really hot one
for young people, especially here.
Absolutely. And so I feel like both sides are kind of edging around it and not really fully addressing it.
They're stepping on eggshells, trying to tiptoe around it. So they give, that's where those political non-answers come in. They give the same line that they've been told to toe from all spectrums of people, and they go around the issue so they don't have to address it until they hopefully get in the office, and then maybe they'll say something. Because at that point, then they had already did what they needed to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's really unfortunate that this is the climate that we're in, where we have to kind of fight for an answer, but that's where we are.
I don't know. It don't make no sense to me personally.
But kind of talking more about just kind of you as a person, you are Speaker of Legislator at
Student Congress.
Student Congress,
yep. Fun.
And what has kind of led to you being involved in Student Congress? What has led you to be a sort of an advocate for people to make their voices be heard and things like that?
I'm trying to think about the origin story of what really, got me interested in it. Because when I think about how I view, politics and people who represent stuff, my biggest thing is, we got 16,000 students that go to this school. So it's not going to be easy to get a consensus from everybody about what they want. That's why Student Congress exists. And my biggest thing is the students deserve to have a voice, regardless of whether or not I agree with what the students think. They deserve to have a voice and a platform for those voices to be heard. And if I am the vessel that must come through, fine. It's my job to represent them, just like it's my job to represent you two in any capacity. I get paid as much to represent y'all as I do the folks that's out there, folks that's at home, regardless. My job is to make sure y'all all have the same access to a platform and that that your issues are not being dismissed. They might be by administration. I'm not going to go into detail on that. But as long as you know that the people you are electing to represent you are caring about what you have to say and are listening, that's what's important to me. That's one of the main reasons I've gotten involved in Congress, because I did, student governments and councils in high school, and that was fun. Those are always fun to get involved with, but those were more event planning things. I found this as an opportunity to actually focus on saying, hey, people care about this. Maybe we should too. So half the stuff you'll see that I either sponsor for Student Congress or I'm talking about, half of them don't even come from me. Half of them is just people complaining to me about stuff. I'm like, all right, see if we can do something.
For sure, yeah. So as we're kind of reaching the end of our little conversation here, is there any kind of last points that you want to put out there?
Well, for anybody listening to me sitting here babbling with these two fine folks, vote. Go vote. I don't care who you vote for. I don't care how you vote. Go do it. Take your friends to vote. I already called my mom and I told her to take my grandma to go vote. I don't care how you vote. Make sure you do it. If you don't vote, you lose your right to complain about anything the government do. Voting is your platform to say, hey, I support this. This is what I want. If that doesn't go your way, complain all you want to. But if you make the operative choice not to vote, you're kind of declining your platform to speak on the issues, in my opinion. My grandma, before she passed, she always told me, when you vote, you're voting not just for yourself, but the people who aren't here to do it. You got to remember what it took to get you to the possibility to vote, what brought you to this place. All the people who died so that you have the right to vote. The people who fought and bled and put their lives at risk so that you have an equal seat at the table just as much as anybody else. So even if you don't want to vote for yourself, you sit here and think, I don't think I want to vote, then don't vote for you. Vote for the people who aren't here to do it or the ones who can't. Because there are plenty of people here who want to and can't vote. And there are plenty of people who aren't here anymore who would vote. So vote for them if you can't vote for you. That'll be my TED Talk for the day.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely.
Really
Thanks for having me. Yeah. I always love coming by this joint and bothering y'all.
We love it. We do love it. We love when people come in and say hi because it makes us feel like, oh, hey, people like us. Hooray, validation.
Yeah. Well, and thank you guys for watching this little conversation that we had. You've been tuned into WXOU 88.3 FM. I've been Logan Pizzurro, joined by Maya Kirksey here. And remember, don't let your dreams fly too far away from you. Have a good one.